First, I'll hand it over to Megan from Suffolk University to talk about her team's approach to this challenge. Over to you, Megan.
All right, thank you so much for having us. And I'm introducing Civics Studio on behalf of Suffolk University in Boston. So why do we have a need for Civics Studio? It's because civics training equips Americans for active citizenship. So 3 out of 4 Americans believe the public's trust in federal government has been shrinking. And so an education on this teaches students about democratic institutions, why they exist, how they work, what they produce. And overall, our goal is to make US foreign assistance aid more visible while engaging these students in understanding key learning concepts in civics. Here's a quote from one of our user advocates. This is from a LexGen student. "It needs to be fun because a lot of students are not interested in learning about the government. It's important to make it engaging, but also make sure that people can retain the knowledge." So this is why we created Civics Studio. It's a virtual multiplayer interface, so students can see one another live on a screen and then make the aid decisions together. It's cross-national, so we also want to be engaging recipient countries. So again, adding a level of transparency to exactly how the aid money is being used and what are the benefits, what are the real results from the aid. We also have full teacher and student progress for both parents and teachers, and that's through different tracks. So there are portals that are designed for both the teachers to monitor progress and also for parents. And then it has a call to action for civic engagement. So we collect student responses and it's a connection to the real world. They can give feedback to their representatives. So this is why we designed Civics Studio. And how did we do this? So we did a variety of interviews with our user advocates, and this was teachers and content providers. And what did they tell us? We learned that some educational apps require teachers to do a lot of instruction, and also different states have different civics requirements. And then the content providers shared with us that shorter lessons are typically more effective because it's aimed at a more limited attention span. We also had many focus groups with LexGen who were incredibly helpful, and they talked about some of the student pain points in learning, such as not being able to interact with their teachers, and then also other students directly on the app. They wanted that functionality built in. They also talked about the importance of milestones, goals, and a sense of competition. That's one of the reasons that we built a leaderboard into our app. Next to our user story map. So here, just to briefly go over this, some of the challenges we found is that civics material can be dry, complex, hard to understand, and difficult to engage in. Also, the data can be hard to connect to real-world outcomes. There's a lack of visibility for educators and parents. And then how do you measure student progress? So our approach was to have something that was interactive, multimedia, has a real-world connection to the aid beneficiary countries, easily integrated into the classroom, that teacher and parent portal that I had mentioned previously, and then the Bloom's taxonomy of learning built in throughout the entire app. So our data sources, we looked at both qualitative and quantitative data, and we wanted to look at the effectiveness of how aid is measured. So we used dPortal, the USAID Explorer, and then foreignassistance.gov. We were able to bring all this data into the app so that students can have real case studies, they can see exactly where the aid is going, and then they can make these decisions themselves through this simulation. So once again, this is on behalf of Suffolk University, the Center for Innovation and Change Leadership, and thank you.
Thanks, Megan. Your product really puts students in the shoes of those who make foreign assistance decisions and gives them the opportunity to deliberate, discuss, and engage with data. So thanks so much. Next, I'll hand it over to Shraddha and Jill from Syracuse University to begin their presentation on this same challenge. Over to you.
Thanks, Anna. So here we are from Syracuse University with our civics education product, EduBuddy. So EduBuddy facilitates learning between for students between teachers and the students. So it increases interaction. So let's consider a user story. Let's consider Lakshman, who's a high school student and who's learning more about civics education. So he's new to the app. And what are his goals? His goals are he wants to have more interactivity between the teachers and the students. We also want data literacy increased between the students and teachers with the wonderful data sets provided to us by the federal. Also, as per the accessibility guidelines, we have incorporated all of that into our application. Also, with help of our app, we'll be able to track progress for teachers as well as students on how well they are performing in their education. So for a product concept, we have our mobile application, which is for the students, and website for our instructors. So let's consider how Lakshman is going to use this application. So he logs into the application using his user ID and password given by the university. Then when he logs on to the application, he sees this on his homepage, which is the 3 modules of the application. So for the first module is level 1, which is the discovery, where he'll learn the basic concepts of civics education lesson. Second is the interpretation level, which is where he will get like a real-time case study, which he can work on and solve problems based on what he's learned from module 1. And third is the evaluation module, where he'll evaluate based on the learnings of the previous 2 modules and track progress on how he's doing on his lessons. So here we can see that one of the lessons can also be a video lesson where he can watch the video given by the teacher and also read the transcript provided.
The students will then be able to see all of the quizzes and exams that they have to do based on the lessons that they have. So they'll have a video quiz, a quiz on the lessons, and then another quiz of the teacher's choosing. And then here are some examples of what the quizzes would look like. This is a multiple choice quiz with the option of being able to select one or multiple answers. And then at the end of the quiz, they would have the result where it would tell them if they passed or failed. This one says they failed, but of course we'd be hoping that they would pass. Then this is the discussion section. So students are able to submit questions to their teachers and to their peers, and then also see the answers from their teachers and their peers. So you can submit a question like this and submit it. And then you'll be able to see all of the answers to the questions. You could pose a question to your peers and then see all of their answers to that question. So this is a little bit about the federal data sets that we use. So we use the FAE dashboard, the USAID dashboard, and the USspending.gov resource. And we use them by allowing students to interpret data on their own by using the interactive dashboards and sort of being able to choose which countries or which time periods they focus on. And we also really wanted to make sure that there was that allowance for students to choose which content they wanted to explore in order to maintain engagement. So here's a little bit about our experience on the project. Shweta and I had both had our first experience working with a multidisciplinary team. So we have students from the School of Information Studies, where we come from, also the School of Education and the School of Citizenship. And we had one team that was sort of our tech team with the School of Information Studies students, and then another team that was our Education and Citizenship team, who helped us with the content and really developing the lessons for optimal learning for the students. And then we also collaborated with students, educators, parents, and administrators to get their feedback and their input on some of the things that we would need to do. And we also connected with, or we're hoping that we can connect with potential partners to promote the product and help us actually develop it and sort of connect us to some of the resources that we didn't have during the school year. And that's our whole presentation. So thanks everyone so much.
Thank you so much to both of you. It's amazing to see how you've taken insights from potential end users to create such an engaging product for students, but also one that allows teachers to track progress and learning. So thank you to both of the Suffolk and Syracuse teams, as well as the other organizations that worked on this challenge. We hope that everyone will join us at the next session for the live demo expo to see the products firsthand and to meet members of the teams. Thanks so much.